they're often colored in a fashion where it does not seem to be racism. But there is absolutely racism in every walk of life for minorities and blacks.
Building a culture of care rooted in equality and equity demands that we must take a stand if we're ever to move forward toward unlocking our fullest potential. As an active member of our local community for over 85 years, Giant is old enough to have experienced some of the progress that's been made, but wise enough to know that we have so much more to learn, to offer, and to overcome to make the fruits of that progress accessible to all. To help better understand some of the challenges faced on a local level, I turned to Tiffany Majors, President and CEO of the Greater Baltimore Urban League.
The real issues are really the unacknowledged systemic racism, and it is very deep. There is a long history in Baltimore and throughout the world where not until 1950s where you were able to live in specific communities. And that continues today with redlining, not having the capacity to have adequate or any transportation to become employed and stay employed. They live in communities in poverty or in areas that does not have the digital connection.
And our current global health crisis threatens to further widen the gap, as described by Brandy Petway, my coworker and co-chair of Giant's Thrive, People of Color Business Resource Group.
The COVID pandemic has affected communities of color most. And so what we have to do is educate them. And so it's about having the access. Where do they go? Who do they turn to for this information? And we have to be a trusted voice. One of our promises is for Giant to be a better neighbor. And how to be a better neighbor is to understand what our communities of color are going through and to help change that situation by getting involved in their initiatives and supporting what they do.
And one such initiative is that of Community Youth Advance. So we asked their executive director, Jay Thompson, what's the world that you're trying to build?
I am trying to build a world where there are no limitations to the choices and opportunities based on what your zip code is, what street you're from, or even what your family socioeconomic background may be. That there are no limits to what you can do.
If you look at Ward 7, Ward 8 in Washington, D.C., we're talking about an area that's very, very hard hit. And the numbers that we provide go a long way. And we're talking about 85% of our kids are less likely to be in the juvenile protection system. 60% of our kids are less likely to have drug alcohol abuse going forward. And the one that really gets me is 55% of our kids show an increase in grades from the second they get involved in our program to the very, very end.
They've really become like team members for the Urban League. We've had probably 4 or 5 recent events during this COVID period where we've had pop-up vaccination clinics, back-to-school drives, feeding the community, and anytime we reach out to Giant, they're like, how can we help? And it's not just with finances, they actually bring bodies, and we've had the team from Giant actually come into Baltimore for every event and hands-on stuffing bags, speaking with the community in regards to vaccinations. They are very much a part of our community.
Because of Giant's, $50,000, and because of their efforts in donating book bags, we were able to have a back-to-school event where the kids were able to come out, have like a pep rally type feel, have a fun event with the cheerleaders, really making a fun day of it. But the great part was at the end of it, they had a full backpack full of supplies, all provided by Giant. And those are the areas that, the funds are great, but also the items as well in addition. And then there's just the support of the community, which is so big. And for us to dig into that area of Washington, D.C. with their assistance has been fantastic.
We are always looking for partners who can meet multiple needs for our families and our students and our youth. So whether it's from an employment perspective, it's from a healthy eating perspective, Giant is a hub for the community. Like, there is an opportunity and an ability. It can actually be a place that a family can go to get everything that they need.
It gives me a personal sense of purpose to know that I'm doing something for the greater good. And just recently, the Greater Washington Urban League asked Giant to be a part of their Trusted Voices campaign around vaccine hesitancy. So we are a trusted voice in the community. People do now turn to us for all of their vaccine needs, and including, children's immunizations, flu shots. It goes even beyond COVID. But it's about that support and letting them know that we are here for them and we understand what their needs are.
Our communities continue to stand up against the horrific acts of racism and injustice that plague our country. We are committed to do the work to build our knowledge and understanding to get to a place of respect as a company and community. We will continue to work internally with our communities to use our platform to drive long-term change to help eliminate race, ethnic, gender, health, and economic disparities. We hope that you will join us.